Tensions in the Middle East are drawing renewed global attention as Russia and Iran conduct joint military exercises along Iran's southern coastline, a development that comes amid an expanding United States military presence in the region and heightened concerns over regional stability. Defense analysts and intelligence observers are closely monitoring the drills, not merely as routine cooperation between two strategic partners, but as a potential cover for operational repositioning of Iranian military assets. At the center of the concern is Iran's growing fleet of unmanned aerial systems, commonly known as strike drones, and whether these exercises provide the strategic concealment needed to move them into forward positions. The joint maneuvers, carried out in waters critical to global energy transport and regional security, signal a deepening defense relationship between Moscow and Tehran. Military cooperation between the two nations has intensified in recent years, shaped by mutual strategic interests and shared opposition to Western influence. While joint exercises are not uncommon, the timing, location, and operational scope of these drills have prompted scrutiny from defense experts who believe they may serve dual purposes, training and force positioning. According to defense firm assessments cited in recent reporting, the coastal nature of the exercises provides an ideal operational environment for repositioning drone units under the veil of legitimate military activity. Moving drone launch platforms, support vehicles, and command infrastructure during scheduled exercises allows such deployments to blend into routine logistics, complicating foreign intelligence monitoring, and reducing the visibility of escalation steps. Drone warfare has become a defining feature of modern conflict, offering cost-effective, precise, and scalable strike capabilities. Iran has invested heavily in its drone program over the past decade, developing a range of unmanned systems capable of surveillance, loitering munitions operations, and long-range precision strikes. These systems have been deployed across multiple theaters through allied militias and proxy forces, demonstrating both reach and adaptability. What raises particular concern among Western defense observers is not simply the existence of these drones, but their integration into layered military strategy. Unmanned aerial systems can be pre-positioned, networked, and activated rapidly, enabling a state to shift from deterrence posture to operational readiness with minimal warning. By relocating drone units closer to strategic corridors or military installations, Iran could significantly reduce response times and increase operational pressure on U.S. and allied forces in the region. Military analysts note that exercises provide an ideal cover for such movements. Equipment convoys, radar deployments, mobile command centers, and electronic warfare assets are expected components of drills, making it difficult to distinguish routine training from operational staging. In this context, the distinction between preparedness and escalation becomes increasingly blurred. Former special operations analyst and drone warfare expert Brett Velikovich explains that Iran has historically masked drone operations within broader military activity, allowing it to test deployment patterns and operational readiness while maintaining plausible deniability. According to Velikovich, what may appear to be routine maneuvering could in fact represent a complex aerial chess match in which positioning, timing, and electronic signatures are carefully calibrated. He emphasizes that drone warfare is no longer defined solely by kinetic strikes. Modern unmanned systems operate as part of integrated networks involving electronic warfare, communications relays, and intelligence gathering platforms. The repositioning of drones is therefore not simply about offensive capability, but about establishing surveillance coverage, testing signal environments, and mapping response patterns of adversaries. This evolving landscape has prompted increased intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations by the United States and its regional partners. ISR missions focus on monitoring deployment patterns, radar emissions, communication frequencies, and command and control structures. Analysts say such data allows military planners to understand not only where assets are located, but how quickly they can be mobilized and how they integrate into broader operational frameworks. The presence of U.S. aerial surveillance platforms in the region reflects a doctrine centered on early detection and situational awareness rather than reactive escalation. By observing how Iranian drone units deploy and reposition during joint exercises, intelligence agencies can assess readiness levels, operational tactics, and potential coordination with Russian systems. The comparison to past conflicts is also shaping current analysis. Observers recall how military exercises have historically served as precursors to operational action, most notably in Eastern Europe prior to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. While parallels do not necessarily indicate intent, they underscore the strategic ambiguity that exercises can create and the challenges faced by intelligence communities in distinguishing deterrent signaling from preparation for conflict. For Iran, the strategic logic may include deterrence messaging, regional signaling, and operational testing. Demonstrating the ability to rapidly deploy strike-capable drones enhances deterrence credibility, while allowing Tehran to refine tactics in real-world conditions. For Russia, joint drills reinforce strategic alignment and showcase cooperative military capabilities at a time of geopolitical realignment. As these developments unfold, defense planners are weighing both the symbolic and tactical implications. The movement of drone assets, even under the guise of exercises, can alter the regional security calculus by shifting strike ranges, response timelines, and risk thresholds. With regional tensions already elevated and military postures evolving rapidly, analysts stress that understanding the operational context behind such exercises is critical. The drills themselves may be routine on the surface, but the strategic signals embedded within them are being interpreted across capitals, command centers, and intelligence agencies worldwide. As concerns mount over the strategic implications of the Russia-Iran drills, defense analysts are increasingly focused on how drone warfare could shape any potential escalation scenario. Unlike traditional air power, unmanned systems allow states to project force while limiting direct exposure of personnel and high-value aircraft. Iran has refined this approach over years of regional conflict, employing drones not only for reconnaissance but also for precision strikes and saturation attacks designed to overwhelm air defenses. Experts note that Iran's drone doctrine emphasizes asymmetry. Rather than competing with technologically superior air forces through conventional means, Tehran has invested in systems that are relatively inexpensive, modular, and capable of operating in large numbers. This strategy allows Iran to impose costs disproportionate to the price of the systems themselves. Even limited strikes against infrastructure, logistics hubs, or forward bases can create operational disruption and force costly defensive responses. According to drone warfare specialist Brett Velikovich, Iran has closely studied recent conflicts to refine its tactics, particularly the evolving battlefield dynamics observed in Ukraine. There, drone warfare has demonstrated how persistent aerial surveillance, electronic warfare, and high-volume unmanned attacks can strain even advanced military systems. The combination of low-cost aerial platforms, electronic jamming, and rapid battlefield adaptation has reshaped modern combat. Velikovich notes that drone warfare today is layered and adaptive. Electronic warfare can disrupt navigation and communications. Cyber operations can target command networks, and kinetic strikes can be delivered by loitering munitions or coordinated drone swarms. This multi-layered approach complicates defensive planning because it attacks both physical assets and the digital infrastructure supporting them. Iran is believed to be incorporating lessons from these developments. Analysts say Tehran has observed how drone swarms can saturate defenses, how electronic interference can degrade targeting systems, and how rapid modification cycles allow forces to adapt in near real time. This evolution reduces reliance on singular high-end platforms and instead prioritizes resilience, redundancy, and volume. At the same time, Western defense officials emphasize a key distinction. Ukraine's drone innovation has largely been driven by defensive necessity, whereas Iran's deployment patterns have often been linked to regional proxy warfare and deterrence signaling. That distinction shapes how Iran's actions are interpreted by policymakers and military planners assessing intent and potential escalation thresholds. One critical question is Iran's ability to impose costs on U.S. forces stationed across the Middle East. American bases in the region are designed with layered defenses, including radar systems, interceptor missiles, and electronic countermeasures. However, drones present unique challenges. Their small radar signatures, low flight altitudes, and potential for swarm deployment complicate detection and interception. A coordinated drone attack does not need to achieve catastrophic destruction to be strategically effective. Disrupting flight operations, damaging fuel storage, targeting radar installations, or forcing temporary evacuations can degrade operational tempo and create strategic messaging value. Even unsuccessful attempts can force defensive resource expenditures and increase regional tension. Analysts also emphasize the importance of electronic warfare in this equation. Jamming GPS signals, interfering with communications, and probing defensive networks allow adversaries to test vulnerabilities without crossing the threshold into full-scale conflict. Such probing activities may occur during exercises, providing valuable data on response times and defensive protocols. U.S. forces, in turn, rely heavily on intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations to monitor these developments. Persistent ISR coverage enables analysts to track drone deployments, observe logistics movements, and identify patterns in electromagnetic emissions. By mapping frequencies, radar signatures, and command links, intelligence teams can better understand how drone units are structured and how quickly they can mobilize. Velikovich emphasizes that platforms like the MQ-9 Reaper function not only as strike systems but as airborne sensor hubs capable of gathering crucial battlefield intelligence. Monitoring how Iranian drone units deploy, reposition, and communicate provides insight into operational doctrine and readiness levels. Such intelligence gathering is essential for developing countermeasures and preparing defensive strategies before a crisis unfolds. The strategic environment is further complicated by potential coordination between Iranian and Russian systems. Joint exercises may provide opportunities to test interoperability, communications integration, and shared tactical procedures. While the extent of such cooperation remains unclear, defense observers note that exposure to Russian electronic warfare capabilities and operational planning methods could enhance Iran's tactical sophistication. At the regional level, neighboring states are watching developments with increasing concern. Gulf nations rely heavily on maritime stability and uninterrupted energy transport routes, and any shift in drone strike positioning could affect shipping corridors and critical infrastructure. The proximity of drone-capable units to strategic waterways increases the potential for miscalculation or rapid escalation in times of crisis. Meanwhile, Washington's expanded presence in the region underscores a strategy of deterrence through visibility and readiness. Military planners aim to signal both defensive preparedness and the capability to respond swiftly if threats materialize. Persistent surveillance flights, naval patrols, and defensive deployments form part of a posture designed to discourage aggressive actions while maintaining situational awareness. As drone technology continues to redefine the battlefield, analysts stress that modern conflicts may begin not with large-scale troop movements, but with invisible positioning, signal probing, and unmanned systems quietly moving into place. The current exercises highlight how military drills can serve as both training operations and strategic signaling mechanisms, blurring the line between deterrence and preparation. Understanding these dynamics is essential to interpreting the significance of the Russia-Iran exercises. While no direct confrontation has occurred, the interplay of drone positioning, electronic warfare testing, and ISR monitoring suggests a period of strategic maneuvering in which both sides are refining capabilities, measuring responses, and preparing for contingencies that they hope never materialize. The broader strategic picture now unfolding reflects a complex balance between deterrence, intelligence gathering, and the risk of miscalculation. Military posturing in contested regions often serves multiple purposes, demonstrating readiness, signaling resolve, and shaping the perceptions of adversaries. In the current environment, the convergence of Russian-Iranian exercises and increased U.S. surveillance activity illustrates how modern power competition is conducted as much through positioning and information dominance as through visible force. Analysts emphasize that the United States and its regional partners are not waiting for overt acts of aggression before responding. Instead, persistent intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance operations are designed to detect early indicators of escalation. Monitoring radar emissions, communications traffic, logistical movement, and deployment patterns provides a real-time picture of operational intent. This intelligence-driven approach enables military planners to anticipate threats and develop countermeasures before a crisis reaches kinetic stages. The use of unmanned systems has further accelerated the speed at which escalation can occur. Unlike traditional aircraft deployments that require extensive logistical support and visible airbase preparations, drone units can be relocated quickly and activated with minimal warning. Mobile launch platforms and decentralized command structures make these systems harder to detect and neutralize. As a result, early warning and situational awareness have become central pillars of regional defense strategies. Defense experts note that plausible deniability remains a key feature of drone deployment strategy. When repositioned during scheduled exercises, unmanned systems can be framed as part of routine training rather than operational staging. This ambiguity complicates diplomatic responses, as adversaries must weigh the risk of escalation against the possibility that movements are defensive or symbolic. Such ambiguity can be strategically advantageous, allowing a state to test responses while maintaining flexibility. Former Special Operations Analyst Brett Velikovich has warned that this type of positioning reflects a broader pattern in which drone deployments serve as both operational preparation and strategic signaling. He argues that monitoring these deployments allows intelligence agencies to understand how quickly units can mobilize, how they integrate electronic warfare measures, and how command networks function under operational conditions. Such insights are critical for developing effective defensive and counter-drone strategies. The strategic stakes extend beyond immediate military considerations. Regional stability depends heavily on secure maritime corridors, uninterrupted energy shipments, and the protection of critical infrastructure. Drone strike capabilities positioned near strategic waterways raise concerns about potential disruptions to global energy markets and commercial shipping routes. Even the perception of increased risk can influence insurance costs, shipping routes, and energy prices. At the same time, Gulf states and regional allies are recalibrating their defensive postures. Investments in counter-drone systems, integrated air defense networks, and electronic warfare capabilities have accelerated in response to evolving threats. These systems are designed not only to intercept aerial threats, but also to disrupt guidance systems, sever communications links, and neutralize swarm coordination. From Washington's perspective, maintaining a visible and capable presence in the region serves as both deterrence and reassurance. Naval patrols, air surveillance missions, and defensive deployments send a clear signal of commitment to regional security. Officials emphasize that deterrence is most effective when backed by credible readiness and timely intelligence. Policy analysts also point to the importance of deadlines and diplomatic pressure in shaping the current security environment. Recent statements from U.S. leadership indicating a limited window for de-escalation underscore the urgency surrounding these developments. Such timelines are often intended to signal seriousness while leaving space for diplomatic solutions. Meanwhile, Moscow's participation in the exercises reflects its continued effort to reinforce strategic partnerships and project influence beyond Eastern Europe. Joint drills offer opportunities to demonstrate interoperability, share tactical experience, and reinforce political alignment. While the full scope of cooperation remains unclear, the optics alone carry geopolitical weight. The lessons of recent conflicts continue to shape strategic thinking on all sides. Modern warfare is increasingly defined by networked systems, electronic warfare dominance, and unmanned platforms operating across air, land, sea, and cyber domains. The ability to gather intelligence, disrupt adversary systems, and deploy precision strikes without immediate escalation has transformed how states prepare for and deter conflict. Despite the heightened tensions, military analysts caution that exercises and positioning do not necessarily indicate imminent conflict. Strategic signaling often aims to prevent war by demonstrating capability and resolve. However, the risk lies in misinterpretation, miscalculation, or unintended escalation triggered by close encounters or technical misreadings. For now, the situation remains one of heightened vigilance rather than open confrontation. Intelligence assets continue to monitor developments, defense systems remain on alert, and diplomatic channels remain active behind the scenes. The coming days will be critical in determining whether current maneuvers settle into routine posturing or evolve into a more serious crisis. As global audiences watch closely, the significance of these exercises lies not only in the hardware deployed or the drills conducted, but in the strategic messages being conveyed. In an era where unmanned systems, electronic warfare, and intelligence dominance shape the battlefield long before the first shot is fired, understanding these signals has become essential to anticipating the trajectory of regional security and global stability.